Well, hey folks, this is Mike Antile at Sailfish Solar. We just wanted to give you a quick update on what's going on with the microinverter world. There really is a significant development that's occurred this year with microinverters. For those of you who know inverters, you know that primarily the Enphase IQ7 Plus has been kind of our go-to inverter, at least here at Sailfish Solar for quite some time. But now we have the new IQ8 microinverter that is out. For the most part, we're using this for pretty much every installation that we do. There's a ton of advantages to the Enphase IQ8 microinverter. We're going to talk about one today, possibly two. So let's dig in and talk a little bit about what makes it different. Before we do that, the biggest question that we get in Florida is, what happens if the grid goes down, right? In Florida, as you know, we have the vast majority of our systems are what are called grid-tied systems, which means you're hooked into the utility company and you have that bi-directional relationship on your meter where you're sending electric to the grid and then you're receiving it from the grid. And so for that reason, when the grid goes down, your solar system goes down also. The premise there being you don't want to feed live electricity into a down system because you could send voltage to one of the linemen and potentially zap somebody who's trying to fix the problem. Up until now, unless you had a battery system, the answer to if the grid goes down, the answer is your solar system goes down, unless you had batteries. But now, with the advent of the IQ8 microinverters, there is a new option, and that's what we're going to talk about today real quick. So with the IQ8, we basically have what is called a sunlight backup option. So basically with the new IQ8 microinverters, we have the ability to add on a load controller and a smart switch where we can basically back up 4 circuits from the power coming directly from the sun. So your solar system will create what's called a synthetic neutral. If the grid goes down, that means no power is being exported to the grid, but you still have the ability to take advantage of the power that's being produced from your solar system. So this new option is called the sunlight backup. Again, we can have four circuits that can be backed up. So traditionally, this is going to be your system controller from an Enphase IQ8, and this is going to be your Envoy, which is kind of like the brains of the whole thing. And when we talk about monitoring, system monitoring, in a minute, that really is what this Envoy does. This here is a battery. It's an the Enphase battery. That's a 10 kilowatt, and then this is a 3 kilowatt battery, so just a slightly smaller one. But with this new sunlight backup, you can actually do without both of these batteries, at least for daytime options. Now, to be clear, this is going to run small stuff in the house. You're not going to be running, a dishwasher or a stove or certainly an air conditioner, which is a top priority for many of you here in Florida. But you can charge batteries. You can run laptops and lights and maybe a television, small appliances, and so on, and at least get yourself charged to make it through the night. So there is some advantages to having just daytime power, and that's really what these IQ8 is all about. So for the backup system, there is a slight cost for all of our clients. We're going to be using IQ8s across the board from here on in, but it does give the clients the ability to upgrade into that daytime storage. Cost-wise, you're talking about an extra $4,500, maybe about $5,000 to have that additional load controller and the additional circuits to be backed up. But there is a lot of value. I could make the case that it's worth that additional upgrade, and that's up to you, the client, as to whether or not you think so. But at least we have the option to do so moving forward. So in a nutshell, that's what makes the IQ8s different. And then we'll talk a little bit more real quickly about our monitoring as well as microinverters in general on the next slide here. So on this slide, again, this is the new IQ8. I just wanted to point out kind of how microinverters work. So with the traditional inverters, we have what are called string inverters. So all of these would run in series, basically, into an inverter. And then the idea is that it transfers. So when the photons come in, it's DC power that's collected in the panels, and then follows this series over to the inverter, centralized inverter, where it all becomes AC power, which is what you use at your house. With the microinverter, on the other hand, which is actually attached to the back of each individual panel, the power becomes AC once it leaves the panel. So there's going to be a microinverter here and here and here and here, all through these panels, and it travels as AC power to where it'll come to a load center and then ultimately into your house. That's fundamentally a different technology than the string inverters that still exist today. I mean, I have one in my house, and we have plenty of clients who have the string inverters, but the microinverters for the most part are kind of the future. And the benefit here, the analogy you've probably heard me use in the past, much like Christmas lights, if one goes down, they all don't go down, as opposed to Christmas lights when I was a kid, if one went down, the whole string went down, you might as well throw it away. So that is, or unless you want to go through and replace each individual bulb. So in a nutshell, that's kind of what makes a microinverter different than a string inverter. One more slide. So this is kind of interesting. This is the actual monitoring of the solar system, and you'll have access to this on your phone or on your desktop, and then we have access to it too. But as you can see, this is kind of a real time, and there's the sun rising, and then here's the sun setting. And if you look, you can actually see some shading right here from a tree, and then you'll see some shading up here from a tree. But for the most part, this is the app that you can actually see your system and watch the performance. And if there's a panel that's in here that's not performing in the same way that the rest are, then we know, okay, that's a problem, and we can go out and fix one individual panel without having to fix the whole thing. So this is some pretty cool technology, and as a client of ours, you'll have full access to this monitoring system. Last but not least, we've been in the solar industry for 15 years here in the state of Florida, so please use us as a resource. Call us, email us, go to our website. There's an abundance of information on the website. We have a lot of good YouTube videos, and we've got more quality content coming. So please do give us a visit. If you liked this video, do us a favor and give us a like, and make sure to subscribe for more quality content in the future. All right, well, that's it for now. Just a quick recap of the the Enphase IQ8 microinverters here in the state of Florida. I hope this was helpful to you, and that you'll subscribe and stick around for more information in the future. All right, thanks for stopping by.